Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Crystal here. I wanted to go over the code with you on another Jupyter notebook for a Kaggle competition. In this Kaggle competition, you have to decide whether a person is an introvert or an extrovert. And I only did the code once. I only ran it up once. And I got a 97.085% accuracy. And I thought, well, that's good enough for me. So I decided I was not going to do any more work on it to try to improve it. So this is the first and only attempt of me to enter this Kaggle competition. And I'm going over the code with you if you want to look at it. And I was quite proud of my work, considering the fact that I got such a high accuracy on my first attempt. So we've gone over the problem statement, which is decide whether a person is an introvert or an extrovert. And now what we're going to do is we're going to import our libraries. We're going to import NumPy as NP, Pandas as PD, OS. We're going to import sklearn for the machine learning part of the program, and we're going to import matplotlib.pyplot, SPLT, and Seaborn. So, and that's for your visualization. So we're going to use OS to retrieve the files, and we've got 3 files being train, test, and sample submission. We're going to use Pandas to read the files. We're going to read the files and label the data frames train, test, and submission. So this is the train file. You've got 18,524 rows by 9 columns. Some of them are numeric and some of them are object. And the personality is going to be either introvert or extrovert. So we did an info, we checked to see what kind of data frame it was, and that shows you that it's integers, floats, and objects. We had a lot of null values in the data frame, so because of that, what we had to do is we had to impute the null variables. So if it was an object column and it was on the null variable, we said not listed. And if it was a numeric column on the null variable, we said -99, just to let us know that it was a null variable. So we checked for null variables, null values after we imputed them, and we had 0 null values, which is what we wanted. We checked the test file. The test file is very similar to the train file, except the test file does not have a target. We checked for null variables, and then you see we've got quite a few null variables, and we had quite a few null variables in the train file as well. So we imputed them again in the same manner that we imputed the train data frame. So we check for null variables in the test data frame, and you see that after we have imputed them, we don't have any null variables. So this is the submission file. This is the format that Kaggle wants to see whenever we submit our work. Okay, so we're going to drop the ID column. The reason why we're going to drop the ID column is because Pandas automatically indexes every row of data. We're going to create a histogram. We're going to use matplotlib to create a histogram. So we create a histogram of the target. And you see that we have a class imbalance. We have a lot more extroverts than we do an introvert. So you have 13,699 extroverts and 4,825 introverts. And so now what we do is we analyze the different columns. So we do a pie chart of the fear column, and you'll see most people don't have fear, but some people do. And then you've got a not listed, which we just didn't count that. So again, fear stage column, most people don't have fear. And now we're going to check drained column. Again, we do a pie chart. Most people are not drained at social settings, but some people are, and then a small part was not listed. So now you've got a histogram of the drained settings, where most people are not drained after socializing, but some people are. So we got a time spent alone. So you can see that we've got the histogram of the time spent alone. And then so I had to say neg 99 just to differentiate it from the other values. And I just said neg 99 just to pick something, which I did. And now you've got social event attendance. And it talks about people attending social events. And then you got going outside. You got friends circle size. You got post frequency histogram. I'm not sure exactly what post frequency means. And then we're going to encode the columns with a D-type object. What I might say is that if I had wanted to just analyze the introverts, I could have filtered out only the introverts and only analyzed the introverts. But what I did was I analyzed all of them. But if you just want to see what the introverts are doing, then you filter out the introverts and you just analyze the introverts. But I didn't do that, and I don't think I'm going to do that because at the moment I'm busy working on another project. But I had to put that project away to work on this Kaggle competition. And then whenever I finish the Kaggle competition, like making the video and doing the blog post, then I'll go back to the project I was on. So, but if you're interested and you want to do it and you want to see what kind of people introverts are, then you filter out just the introverts and then you analyze just the introvert portion of the data frame. So now what we do is we encode the object columns, the two object columns. The two object columns were yes or no. And then also I had to include not listed. So we had a replacement dictionary of yes is 1, no is 0, and not listed is 2. So we replaced in the train set the stage fear and the drain after socializing, and also in the test set the stage fear and the drain after socializing. And we replaced it. And so I got a message saying that the replace was deprecated, but I looked on the internet to see what was replace, and I couldn't see what was replacing replace. So now we check train info again, and you can see there are no more object columns. It's all just numeric. So now we define our dependent and our independent variables. So Y is the personality column in the train, and then X is the rest. After you've popped out the personality, X is the rest of the train, and X test is test. So we have created a heat map using Seaborn. So you can see that most of the columns of data, or most of the features, are not highly correlated. The only features that have any kind of a correlation are the drained after socializing and the stage fear. And those are the ones that had the yes-no answers that I had to encode. So now I'm going to scale the data, and I'm going to use sklearn to scale the data. So we're going to scale the X and the X test. And now we're going to use sklearn's train test split to split the data into training and validation sets, which I did. So now we're going to define our model. We're going to use the support vector classifier to define the model, and we had a 96.8% accuracy. We're going to predict on that, and then so we had a 277.5 and 930, 2775 and 930 being extrovert or introvert. We check the accuracy. The accuracy is 96.76. Now what we do is we predict on the test set, and then we check our value counts. So 4618 and 1557 are the extrovert and introverts. We're going to create a histogram of that so you can see that this is your extrovert and introvert, just so you can see a little bit what the prediction looks like. Now we're going to prepare our submission, and then so we're going to put the pred in the personality column of the submission data frame. We're going to create a CSV file of that column of that data frame, and then we're going to read the data frame, and then we're going to print it out, and that's it. And then after we've read the data frame and printed it out, I submitted my work to Kaggle, and then I got a 97.0850% accuracy, which I thought was pretty good. Some people scored higher than me, but I was happy with that, and I was happy enough with that I decided I was just going to leave it the way it was. But the thing is there is a class imbalance, so probably I could have tried to compensate for the class imbalance, and maybe I would have gotten a better score. And as I said, I could have just, in order to analyze the data, I could have just analyzed the introvert data to see what kind of people are actually introverts, what the score was for introverts, and that would have been interesting. But since I'm really busy working on another project, and if you've been following my channel, you may have an idea what project it is that I'm working on. As soon as I do the blog post for this competition question, I'm going to go back to working on my project. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you got something out of the code review. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. And I will be making another Kaggle video for you next month when they have their next Kaggle competition.